Let me tell you a story of a people long ago.
So this is reyespoetry.com. We are in Pittsburg, Kansas while I'm on tour this week, and I'm gonna spit a piece. Let's take it back to the good old days. Let's take it back to when niggas and spics knew their place, when chinks were lined up and put into camps, when women of color were fast whores and tramps, when Hoover bugged doesn't keep up with some microphones in his hotel lamps. Let's take it back to when the CIA placed hundreds of Cubans on a certain bay and let them be slain and say, oh, we had nothing to do with it. It was what they wanted. Let's take it back to commie sympathizer witch hunts. Let's take it back to blacklists. Let's take it back to government control segregation because of pigmentation. Let's take it back to the control of the island's population through sterilization. Let's take it back to when bullets flew, when Kennedy's brain was splattered, when Dr. King's skull was open, when Brother Malcolm sold up because of conspiracies buried in files and codes. Let's take it back to small black children being sprayed on the streets of the US, attacked by dogs, spit on like Christ was by bigots. Let's take it back to chemical insecticides, used to grow healthy crops that infected my family, my uncles, my grandparents, my tias who worked for under minimum wage as slaves. They labored in the sun to be infected by cancer. Let's take it back to the Zoot Suit riots where America's Navy raped our women, beat our men, all in the name of defense. Let's take it back to when the only face of beauty was white, when Latino actors were forced to say that they were Italian, when mixed mulatto children said that they were not black. Let's take it back to when the only act on the big screen that depicted people of color was of sex, violence, and ignorance. Let's take it back to when Bruce Lee was forced to wear a mask because of his slanted eyes and millions out to the Green Hornet. Let's take it back to when blacks could not play in the NBA, before LeBron, before Iverson, before Jordan, before Zeke, before Magic, before Dr. J, before the Iceman, Wilt, and Russell. Let's take it back to the good old days when millions of Americans went overseas to fight in wars, only to return in body bags, and because they were not white, could not be buried in the cemeteries that they died to keep. Let's take it back to when jazz was monkey music, back to blackface, Uncle Tom, yes, master mentalities. Let's take it back to when blues, to when jazz and poetry were appropriated by beatniks and black and brown voices were drowned out. Let's take it back to Pinheiro, Algarin, Pietri, where pseudo-nigger writers and poetry was only a dead white guy thing. Let's take it back to breakers and DJs and MCs and graffiti artists were not subcultures, but were black and Latino before Beastie Boys, Third Base, Eminem, when hip-hop was in ghettos and slums. Let's take it back to when masters raped slaves, when Thomas Jefferson had a love affair with one of his own. Let's take it back to cowards hiding behind seats that he crosses ablaze. Let's take it back to governmental testing of minorities to see the outcome of AIDS. Let's take it back to the Treaty of Guadalupe, 40 acres and a mule. Let's take it back to the red man being infected by smallpox from blankets given to him by the US of A. Let's take it back to the question everything reality dogma of the age. Let's take it back to women are worth nothing, unable to vote, baby making, cooking tortillas and greens just lay there as I bust time and time again. Let's take it back to Vietnam when men and women bled and bled and bled. That's why when I hear people say, let's take it back to the good old days, I say, fuck that. No way, the good old days weren't as good as they say. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it.